and I know size and everything, as they say. But we had...
You're reading a different magazine.
Yeah. I work in inches.
Don't we all do?
Yeah.
Or feet. Oh, no, you didn't. I didn't pull a face, did I? Oh, God, I was practicing. I know that. I was practicing before this thing. Don't pull faces. Don't pull faces. They'll just zoom in on you.
I'll tell you who I'm gutted that dipped their toes into river cruising and then aborted. Fred Olsen.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise Podcast.
River cruising is often labelled as a floating hotels for pensioners. Do you think that's an outdated stereotype, or is there some truth in it?
Well, I think that's rather a brave question, given your panellists today.
What do you think?
You kick off, Kathy.
I think it has suffered from that that reputation. Sorry, and on a lot of the river cruise ships, it's true. But I think that the brands now are trying to get away from that, and so someone like Viva, for example, their audience or guests would be 45 to 60 maybe, and CroisiEurope was more 60 to 70. But I've got a theory why that is.
What's that?
Well, I think that couples are starting families much later now. So using my daughter as an example, they're in their 40s, but they've got very young children. So they can't afford the luxury of self-indulgent holidays, should we say, on their own. So I think the markets from that side won't pick up with them until they're in their late 50s, rather, I think.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of research, and Clear revealed, I think in 2024, that the average age of a river cruiser from the UK was 57, and then decreased over a year or two to 54, which is perfect because you're not quite there. I'm not quite there. These two, they're knocking on the 50s. So I think this is a very lively, sprightly panel.
It's been recently announced that celebrity cruises are dipping their toes into river cruising. What sort of effect do you think that will have on the demographic?
It'll depend on pricing, I think, largely. I think it will attract a lot of celebrities, loyal guests. I think there's likely to be more American guests on board. Will it have an immediate effect? I don't know. I think the novelty that they're in that market may be, and if they've got a lot of new features, then yes.
I mean, looking at the images that Celebrity have already released, it looks like they're going for a retreat sort of vibe on board. Yeah. And if they're charging retreat prices, then I agree with you. I think it'll be an older demographic, and it won't be necessarily the younger ages that they might be expecting to get. Yeah. But it'll be interesting. When I also hear about people bringing up the age of an average guest, not just on a river cruise line, but on an ocean cruise line, I do wonder why it matters, because I actually prefer going away on a ship where there is an older demographic, because, and this is stereotypical, but I find that older people know how to behave better. Like they've been with
Not been with me then.
Oh,
and I am being stereotypical, but from my experience, when we have gone on family-friendly cruise lines and the average age is a bit lower, that is when we seem to encounter some outlandish behaviour, I would say.
Yeah. I get asked that question all the time online, and I have to agree. It always surprises me, and I think, why does this really matter to people so much? Someone messaged me just yesterday, and they said, and I quote, they were worried about the demographic. And I'm thinking, gosh, when I'm on board, I'm so worried about what I'm doing and just trying to have a good time. I don't really care. I don't notice really. But I think there are so many variables at play when it comes to demographics. It depends on the cruise line or the river cruise line, the itinerary, the season, pricing and all. So
excursions that are put on as well, if they're geared at just older people, with the assumption that older people can't deal with activities and active lifestyles, then there is an issue. But I mean, if you book an all-inclusive holiday in Spain, you don't ask what's the demographic going to be like the pool, unless you're going to Malaga and you're on a stag weekend or a hen weekend and you don't want to be around a lot of older people. But generally it's not an issue.
What surprised you most about your very first river cruise experience?
How slow it was.
Really?
To be fair, yeah. I'm and also how not claustrophobic is not quite the right word, but you're so close to the shore, which is a plus as well. But that surprised me that it was like inching. It felt like it was inching along, whereas on an ocean voyage, you're sort of sailing straight out to sea and the open sea and much faster.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say claustrophobia, because we actually feel that on a lot of river cruise lines, it feels like you've got bags of space. That's how it felt to us. Like, I found that the cabins are about what you'd expect on ocean cruise lines. I find that they're usually a bit more practical. Like, you get an alarm clock, and we've had charging by the bed. You're putting more. Is there a line that you have?
It will depend on which brand that you travel with. I mean, our recent one with CroisiEurope, and they are a value brand, but our cabin was tiny. And I know size and everything, as they say. But we had...
You're reading a different magazine.
Yeah. The smallest, what would you call it? It wasn't even a cupboard or a wardrobe that I've ever had. It was, I work in inches. But it was about...
Don't we all do? Or feet.
Female inch. About 4 inches deep, this cupboard. And you couldn't... There was one hanger in it, like a wall hanger, and you could just hang a coat on or jacket on it. So that was quite... Or a husband if he got out of line. So that was a smaller cabin for us. Claustrophobic's the wrong word, but it did feel smaller on
boutique.
Boutique, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably
I feel boutique on a river cruise line. I think what surprised me most was just how stunning, how beautiful it was, the scenic cruising down the rivers, like on the Rhine, on the Danube, mountains everywhere. You know, obviously at sea, you've just got the ocean, and that's beautiful in its own right. But actually, to be sailing by a castle on every river bend is just magnificent. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And I will say, like with cruising, you're waking up in different destinations, different countries, the same as river cruising. But of course, you're literally in the middle of the action. Sometimes it's 5-10 minute walk into the center of a city. My very first morning, I think it was Bratislava, we arrived into on the Danube cruise. And I'm a softie really. I just literally started crying when I walked off the boat into the city. It was just stunning. I don't do that too often, obviously.
What you said about the proximity to the city centre and that, I think that's one of the things that we like the most. Like how we feel is on river cruises, I find that it's far more immersive with the destination than what ocean cruising ever is. Like there was quite a few nights, like Bratislava, when we were there, we decided not to eat on the ship. We decided to go ashore and actually eat at a restaurant, and you get to usually see these places day and night. And I find that you just have much better experiences compared to ocean cruise.
More authentic experiences, I definitely think. There's not thousands of you going ashore at once, so it's not crowded. You get into the heart of a city very quickly.
If river cruise lines really want to attract younger travellers, what needs to change? The marketing, the product, the price?
Well, first of all, marketing. I think the materials tends to show middle-aged up clientele. It doesn't necessarily inspire with some of the excursions that are offered. Very often we offer walk-in tours inclusive of your price, and I think great in terms of value, but I don't really want to go on a walk-in tour with a big group of people. This is supposed to be a more culturally immersive experience. And activities on board. Some of the newer boats, can I call them boats? I think I can. Yeah.
Boats.
I don't want anyone trying to crucify me with pitchforks. I just think they have pools, lots of hot tubs. They've got thermal suites. Those aren't the things that are necessarily associated with river cruising. And I think that would certainly attract a younger audience.
Yes, I think the same with its product and marketing, really. Or marketing the product, because Viva, for example, have got some fabulous pools on board some of their ships that look stunning when I've seen it on Instagram, but they're not publicising, or not Viva particularly, but cruise lines aren't publicising the Instagrammable benefits and the social media aspects of it. And I think that would very much get to a different audience. And again, the product when it comes to activities. sometimes they are very, very staid.
Yeah.
Although you do have options of hiring bikes, free bike hire on a lot of the ships now, and cycling tours and things like that, which will attract a younger market.
Yeah. And there's a perception out there that river cruising is overpriced, expensive, and I think partly true. So what can these companies do to bring a whole new audience to them who are worried about those costs?
That was actually going to be my next question about...
I thought it would be.
There is this perception that river cruising is expensive, and most of the time they are.
Mm-hmm.
We've done Viva now 5 times, and I don't think they get nearly enough recognition in the UK. And having also done Riviera, which is their sister brand, Riviera is so much more money than what Viva is. And when we're on board, we actually find you get a lot more with Viva. Like, you get drinks included,
Is that
the
all inclusive?
Yeah, dining venues.
They should be singing about that then.
Yeah, and I think you hear so much about Riviera Travel, and we've been with them, they're great, but I would choose Viva Cruises every day of the week, because you get more money, and I feel like the standards are about where Riviera is.
I had a quick look before I came out, and you can actually get a 3-night Viva cruise for about £350.
Wow.
Oh,
per person.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a weekend break would cost you more than that.
Yeah.
And I actually did a breakdown of the one that we had that was in Seville on CroisiEurope, and the price there would have been around the 1,400 per person mark, but that was with everything in the excursions. And I priced up the same amount of time in Seville in a reasonable hotel, decent restaurants with wine, paying for the excursions that we did, and it came to double what we have had to pay for that.
I've noticed that TUI also offering these shorter river cruises, which I think is quite clever. I mean, it's what you see with ocean cruises, isn't it? These 2 and 3 nighters, the booze cruises. But I think it's a way of attracting a new and perhaps younger audience by saying, okay, you're not sure whether this is for you. Why don't you just try 3 nights with us?
You've done quite a few Marella cruises.
Yeah.
How do they compare? Do you go on a TUI River Cruise and does it feel like a Marella?
I did wonder that on my first TUI River Cruise, and it's pretty incomparable apart from the level of service. You've been on Marella, and I hope you agree that the crew on board are just awesome. They're so friendly and welcoming, and that's exactly what I experienced on a TUI River Cruise. But that's the only similarities where I can see partly value as well. I mean, like with TUI, you talked about all-inclusive. It's not necessarily all-inclusive unless you spend a little bit extra, but it is full board plus. So you get your breakfast, lunch, dinner. You have drinks as well with your meals, so fill your boots.
So it's similar to a Marella because you get your drinks on there. But yeah.
It sounds like it's probably not as party oriented as maybe Marella is, and
no, I mean, I can't keep up with them anyway, to be honest with you, Kath. You mentioned earlier about some of the older demographic having the energy. They certainly have more energy than I do. I try and keep up with them, but they're out dancing until they're told you've got to go back to your cabin now,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
You're looking at me now.
I'm not at all. Still looking at you in your prime.
My daughter pulled me out of the pool party on Virgin. Made me go to bed.
Pulled you out of the pool? Or
the pool party.
Oh, right.
I was in the pool.
I bet you were. What were you wearing?
A red sequin dress.
Oh, have you got a picture of that?
I have.
Can you? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah.
Have you ever felt bored on a river cruise?
Oh, only boring people get bored. I always say that. Well, it's true. Don't laugh at me. Well, some people tell me they would get bored or they have been bored. And I think, well, what are you doing? I do accept there are fewer facilities. And actually, we experienced over the Christmas period, one of the locks was broken and we were just stuck for hours. And they're on the TUI River Cruises currently. Their current fleet, there's not a whole lot of facilities. I wasn't bored, though, as a result. You fill your time with other things. And there was one point I thought, okay, I actually don't know what to do right now. Shall I work? No. Stop with those thoughts. Just relax. Just chill out for once. But I think it depends on the person, their sort of mindset when it comes to, do you need people to entertain you all the time?
Yeah.
Are you somebody who doesn't need that? It depends on what you like.
That's what I think. If you are someone that's on a cruise and you enjoy doing the quizzes and you enjoy doing the big entertainment every night, and that's what keeps you going, you will be bored on a river cruise. If that's what you like, doing the karaoke, you like doing the silent discos, that is your entertainment and that's what keeps you going, I do think you might not enjoy.
But these boats are in port most of the time, and they're traveling overnight. And sometimes, actually, one thing I wanted to mention earlier, one thing that really surprised me is that you can have 2 ports on the same day with a few hours sailing in between, which I think is magnificent. But don't you think that most of your time is spent ashore?
Yes, the evenings.
That's where people.
If you're overnighting, a lot of them overnight in port, and you've got the opportunity then to explore the nightlife of Seville.
That's different, yeah, absolutely. But if you're not, she much prefer that, because on ocean cruises, I mean, obviously, I love ocean cruises, but I don't really care much for the entertainment. I'm not blown away by theatre shows unless it's celebrity or, dare say, Disney, Virgin.
I think it's nice if you can have something in the evening to have a drink with maybe some background music from a piano or something like that. And they've not always got something every evening. Even if
However, some river cruises do bring on entertainment.
Yes.
They really immerse you in the destination, which again is fantastic.
When we were on Amadeus, we did the Danube on Amadeus River in June, and it was an incredible experience. And I know Amadeus are priced a bit higher than the other lines that we'd done, but there was a noticeable difference when it comes to entertainment. So every day there was they'd bring on entertainment from ashore, and it just added to that cultural immersion of the whole experience.
Our CroisiEurope cruise had a flamenco evening. We went out to a flamenco bar in Seville after dinner.
You went to a bar?
I know.
Did you have a red outfit on again? Red outfit? Or
Yeah, did I have right? Yeah.
I'd like to see
But yeah,
that.
so you can immerse yourself in the local nightlife, but also they had a really good crew party atmosphere where they all performed their acts, and that was a really nice intimate sort of evening.
Contrary to some belief, I know there's people out there that think that all we do is go on holidays and we don't do much else, but we're actually very, very busy, and a river cruise is actually a real treat compared to an ocean cruise. I find that we can relax and disconnect so much better on a river cruise.
Can you do that quickly though? I found it took me a day or so to get into the.
I think I can quickly switch off in general. Like when I'm on a river cruise, like I see it as a holiday. I'm like, I mean, look, when I come to film a ship, river cruise I can do in a day. Do you know what I mean? Like I can film our review elements in half a day. Like it is so quick.
Yeah,
so
the best to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So
in the first day, and then we've got 6 more days where we can actually go ashore. And
I actually felt a certain vibe from your posts on your river cruise experiences. I thought these boys are relaxing. We were talking about elegance and quiet and no lining for this, that, and the other. I could sense that.
That's how we like to cruise, though. Again, everyone cruises differently, as we all know. But a cruise ship for us personally, we don't like the big water slides, the screens by the pool, the bumper cars and everything else. We like a very quiet cruise. So river cruising is perfect for us because I can just sit outside with a drink and watch the world go by. Whereas sometimes on a cruise, it's intense. Sometimes there's a lot going on, and the crowds and the queues, it is intense, which is fine. But no, river cruising.
No, it's not fine.
No,
I don't want lines. I don't want to be.
No, sorry. I'm glad you corrected me. No, you don't want lines.
No, that's just my opinion. Some people love lining up.
I think along with any cruise, really, it is about doing your homework and choosing the right cruise line as well. And, are you wanting to do lots of excursions or not? Yeah. So on VIVA, we sort of opted in and out, and we did a few half-day ones. On CroisiEurope, we were fortunate to get some really great excursions, but one of them was 14 hours.
Wow.
And they were day after day after day, so we had very little downtime to do the chilling out and relaxing.
That's the other thing as well, though. If you go on a cruise, and there are some out there that just enjoy the ship and don't get off. So again, river cruising wouldn't be for you if that's what you want, because you can stay on, but you get bored again. There's nothing to do on there, so you can't sit on that all day.
Destination.
That's what I mean.
Scenery.
That's what I mean. So if you don't care about destinations, again, maybe river cruising isn't for you.
Although, on a couple of the itineraries I've done, I have to say, I had never heard of some of these villages, towns ever.
No, yeah.
And I never would have got to I would have never heard of them or got to them, I think, in my lifetime, had I not taken a river cruise.
You'd have been throwing all kinds of tantrums on a 14-hour tour.
As was John.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but for me, that's torture. That is so long.
Beyond 3 hours.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I don't hear. Oh, when are we going back? I'm bored.
Originally, in the blurb, it had said it would be a 3-hour round trip.
Yeah.
I didn't really measure it on the map, and I told John that. But it was 3 hours going, but with a half-hour stop at a very nice service station to buy bits and bobs. And then a couple of hours going round the Alhambra Palace, which was beautiful.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But another 3 to 4 hours on the way back. We actually got back. We left at 7 o'clock in the morning and got back at 9 p.m. for dinner. So, and everyone on board had to leave for dinner.
That's intense. I'm sorry, but for me, that's not for me.
Do I need to be aware of your short attention span ahead of cruising with you soon?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, when we did Iceland, it's the first time we did Iceland. I mean, we went on the most amazing tour excursion.
Yeah.
Seeing geysers erupting everywhere. But you were just on TikTok the whole time.
Oh, look, once you've seen it, I was like, okay, I've seen it. And then it was hours.
He doesn't care. Even on our wedding cruise, like I went to see the pyramids of Giza, and
I didn't go.
I couldn't coax him off at all.
No,
there was no interest.
But let's just clarify why he couldn't coax me off. He's like, oh, there's this tour to the Gizas. I was like, okay, He's like, oh, but it's going with armed people with guns and escort. And I was like, no. I mean, look, I like a pretty destination, but then I like but I like to go back to the ship. Once I'm done. Once I've seen it, get me back.
But would you not go out on local buses or...
No, I don't think he would.
No, we're not very good with public transport.
No, there's another story.
Right, before we get back to river cruising,
let's share this story.
To demonstrate how I'm not anti-public transport, I just don't like it.
Jay hates public transport.
And, when we flew out to Rome to interview Captain Kate for the magazine, we had two options because, as you'll know, Rome and Civitavecchia are not exactly next to one another.
No.
And we had two options. It was €12 on a train or £550 Uber. No contest.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not of an Uber generation.
But you weren't exactly telling me not to.
We did the train.
Oh, no, I bet he loved that.
I mean, I was like, no.
Beautiful Lexus, lovely, comfortable seat.
You missed all that lovely scenery.
I was able to ask for quiet on the app list.
Wow.
So, no, we wouldn't do a bus tour, and no, we wouldn't do anything like that. That's not us.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Relax, unwind, and let the river guide you on a journey for all your senses. VIVA Cruises offers premium, all-inclusive cruises on Europe's most beautiful waterways. Enjoy the moment with VIVA Cruises.
Back to river cruising. Some river cruise lines lean heavily on green marketing. Do you think sustainability in river cruising is real, or is it more PR gloss?
I think some are really trying. Others give in to the PR. Most will be looking at reducing plastics and that sort of things, and looking at renewable energies. But a lot of them are quite old ships, so they're doing what they can, I suppose. But
Jamie's face says something different.
Oh no, you didn't. I didn't pull a face, did I? Oh God, I was practicing. I was practicing before this thing. Don't pull faces. Don't pull faces. They'll just zoom in on you.
What's your opinion?
My opinion. Well, so the Viva fleet, I believe, from 2026, the whole fleet is going to be using what I think is called hydro-treated vegetable oil to power their vessels, which is crazy. It's like frying eggs in it, and then you're powering a vessel. So you can see there are efforts.
Yeah.
But on my honest opinion, like I go on a ship and they say we're not going to have a paper copy, for example, of the program anymore. It's all downloadable. And I think, I'm fine with that. And then suddenly you're bombarded with all these glossy flyers in your cabin. Please come and buy some jewelry. Yeah. Please come to the spa. Please this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, so whatever happened to them reducing paper and so on? And it's the same with single-use plastics in my opinion. So I think they say this is what they're attempting. there are obviously regulations, health and safety things that people are working towards. And I see a lot about it in their publication.
Yeah.
But I do feel just a little bit skeptical of how much that some of them are trying to do.
I think they're emphasising it to bring in a different demographic. Or
I might be able to swallow it more with the river cruise lines, but like ocean, I just really turn off when I hear them bang on about green stuff. Like we've said a few times, like there's nothing green about cruising. Like you can try all the small things like the single-use plastics and things like that, and there's very strict MARPOL regulations which restrict ships from dumping their rubbish like they used to in the past, and they're all commendable efforts. But when you hear them bang on about LNG and stuff like that, half the time the ships aren't even running on LNG because they can't source it. But I think maybe river cruising's doing a bit of a better job than ocean cruising, but it's...
But even then, some river cruise lines, gosh, I get in trouble all the time when I come on this. They talk about, well, we've got smaller vessels, and it's like, well, of course you have, because you've got like 150 or 60 passengers.
Yeah.
So it's all it's not comparable, really.
I mean, there's so many river ships now. I mean,
what
I
a
see what
surge
they're filling them.
Yeah. If you had to tell a die-hard cruiser why they should ditch megaships for a river cruise, what would be your killer argument to them?
I would be the immersive experience that you're in the centre of a city straight away, and you're there right in the middle, in the heart of it.
I would probably say I think it's important in life personally, and this is a personal thing, to try as many things as possible. And therefore, most people who are interested in river cruise and who are ocean cruisers just haven't done it. They haven't taken that plunge. So why not just have a go? The worst thing that can happen is you won't do it again. But I can assure you won't have any lines.
Do you think for an American it's a harder sell, though? A harder convince to come to Europe to do a river cruise?
I don't think so.
I don't think
No?
so. No, we had a whole party of American Canadians that had their own area of the ship, actually, one of the bars, because they'd come as a group booking because they wanted to experience European architecture in their case.
I sailed from Southampton this summer, and it was marketed as a British Isles cruise, and I think I was one of just several people from the UK on that cruise.
Wow.
Everyone else was from America and Canada and a few Australians.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
That's the thing. When I saw online, when people were like, "Oh, I'm so surprised that Celebrity are doing river cruising," I said to you, Jay, at the time, I said, "I'm not surprised because they would have done their research. They would have been asking their passengers, would you be interested in a river cruise? If we did, they would have been doing the research." So I was not surprised at all that they were dipping their toes into it. They wouldn't have done something on a whim without testing it.
And I think UK companies increasingly so are marketing to further off destinations and a possible audience like America, for example. So when we talk about sustainability and then you're flying over 1,000 people.
I'll tell you who I'm gutted that dipped their toes into river cruising and then aborted: Fred Olsen.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same.
Yeah. You and I are both big Fred Olsen fans.
Yeah.
And I feel disappointed that they didn't give it more of a go, because I think that they'd have done done
really well. If you was to see another cruise line dip their toes in, who would you like to see do it?
Margaritaville at sea.
No, that would.
I want to see that.
That would be a boost.
That might draw in a younger audience.
Yeah, I was going to say Virgin.
Oh, yeah.
A Virgin would be very interesting. They could just do it down Amsterdam. Fill your boots. Okay.
Is there one truth about river cruising you think the industry doesn't want people to say out loud?
Food.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily the lack of quality, but when you're on an ocean cruise, you can eat 24/7. On a TUI River Cruise, I had to stock up my nibbles cupboard, something chronic. Their portions aren't the biggest, and there are times of the day when you can't eat. And people might say out there, well, you shouldn't have to. But actually, if you have a medical issue, if you're diabetic and you need to eat something, normally on an ocean cruise, you've got your pick of whatever you want. But I did find myself stocking up a nibbles cupboard on board.
Breakfast thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Viva had, in the afternoon, they used to have like a snack cabinet, I suppose it was, in one of the bars that we found. But I would say the same. Yeah. There isn't a range of restaurants that you can go to. And usually it's breakfast, lunch, if you're on board, and dinner. And there's no snacks to be
And
had.
it's quite regimented, which
I
I
was going to say my thing
Yeah.
would be, I would say it's more regimented than they may expect.
Yeah, and I understand that as well, but they're not transparent about that, which I also understand.
They're not transparent now, but to counter that, as another point though, as we've said, like you're in the Portmore, you could just get off if you're hungry and go eat somewhere. Is that not the other argument? It's like,
Unless you're stuck because the lock is broken, like we were over Christmas.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
then you've got nothing. Yeah,
you threw a right tangent.
I wasn't going to tell her.
Well, I am telling them. Like on Amadeus, there was one night where you didn't really. What you had at dinner wasn't to your taste, and as you said, there's not the variety. So the menus are smaller. I would argue that, especially on Amadeus, the quality was probably a bit higher than what you get on an average cruise.
Yeah.
But you were hungry that night, and we were sailing, and there was nowhere.
There was nothing
to get food, and it was advertised in the daily programme. I mean, Christ, did you get excited when I said, "Oh, they're doing late night nibbles in the Panorama Lounge forward," and we get there, and they're only serving sausage rolls, and
we had
he doesn't
a hankry.
You were hungry.
I was not. I hadn't had to go and eat the cookies that had been out all day at the back of the ship.
Stale cookies.
Yeah, I was so hungry. But
he was in a bad mood that night.
I woke up
in my Haribos. I don't want you fucking hell.
I was in a foul mood. I woke up starving. I went straight to breakfast, and I think I had 3 plates. I was so hungry.
Yeah.
Can we have that on a Christmas card?
Yeah.
All your followers? I don't want a fucking Haribo.
Who wants a Haribo when you're starving, though?
Well, we arrived for our last cruise in Seville, and we were allowed to board. As you say, it's much quicker. You can get to your cabin, etc. But there was nothing open. There was no meals until dinner that night.
Yeah.
So we had to try and go and find somewhere. And although we were in the centre of Seville, we just arrived. We didn't know how to get into the heart of it, and everywhere was closed around there. So we were starved.
I think the other thing that threw me a little bit when it comes to food, because look, when I'm hungry, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So
Are you getting that impression? No,
it's all I can think about when I'm hungry. So when we was on, I think it was Amadeus, and I can't remember if it was the same for Viva when we done it. But you sit down and you have to follow the set menu. So if you're having that starter, everyone's having that starter. If everyone's on the second one, and I was like, don't want any of that, just want the main. No, sir, can't have that. You have to wait for anyone else. I'm just like, come on, like I'm hungry.
Yeah,
like
I don't need to skip the soup or the salad course. Like you'd be waiting half an hour
for the next.
That I didn't really like that.
No, but I can't remember if that was for Viva as well. I can't remember.
I
don't think it was.
Did you have a choice though on?
There was like an everyday option. Like there was always chicken. There was always like whatever it was. But it was changed.
To be honest, like as someone that doesn't eat meat, I found like it was good enough.
Yeah.
There was all something, but I think it's outside of those dining hours that I think is the bigger issue. Like I personally think that some river cruise lines should offer room service. I don't even mind if it's chargeable. Yeah. But then if there was a night like what you had on Amadeus,
they would have made a fortune off of me.
Oh. I mean, you were like something out of Ratched.
I was so tempted. I was like, can I order someone to come alongside on Uber on a boat and bring me something? Like I was that desperate.
Yeah, he was like, go on and deliver it, and I couldn't drop the pin where we were. And,
one thing I'd say with Croisière, their food was amazing because it's French cuisine. Yeah. And if you were on board for lunch, remember we had a lot of excursions when we were, we had restaurant lunches then. But if you're on board for lunch, that's like a 2-hour affair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Several courses.
Yeah.
And the same for dinner. But there is no choice. It is a set menu.
Yeah.
Everyone has the same starter, main,
yeah,
what have you. But they're very amenable if you let them know the day before. So one of our people on our table didn't like fish at all. So any fish course, they bought her steak or they bought her an alternative that would do her instead.
So if someone was thinking of doing their first ever river cruise, what would be your top tip to tell them then?
Oh, I would advise that when they wake up and they open the curtains, they are wearing clothes. Because you could be moored right next to another river. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I did it on purpose, to be honest with you, Kathy. Like, Yeah, but you could be literally right next to somebody else's cabin opposite you. So you be careful when you pull those curtains.
Well, on that point, though, also be mindful of what you leave on your balcony. Because we was docked next to someone and someone was drying their dirty pants and bras and knickers just over the rails of their balcony.
Dirty as in used. They weren't soiled.
So
they didn't look it.
But they, yeah. So just be mindful of what you leave outside.
Open the window just to get rid of those seagulls because it's such a pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, don't overpack. John will crack up when he hears this because I am a huge overpacker. So, but you will have limited or more limited storage, I think. So don't overpack. There's no need. And my other thing is download Duolingo before you go, or get a lovely Spanish teacher that can help.
Dan just does the accent.
Yeah. No.
Oh, can I hear?
No.
Oh, goodbye.
No, definitely not.
Because generally the cruise line will have a standard nationality. So Viva was very German, CroisiEurope was very French, and it's nice to have some phrases that you can use. A German gentleman on Viva actually complimented me on my accent, but I could only say one.
Can we hear something from you?
No.
Oh, come on. You're so shy.
Well, one of the reasons I now try to learn some phrases, and my family haven't let me live this down, but when we had one of our early Canaries holidays, I thought I'm going to speak some Spanish when I order. So I ordered Dos Coques.
Dos what?
2 Coca-Cola.
Oh.
I was trying to get.
I was confused what that was there.
No. So they've never let me live that down, and so I thought I would,
I think it's the effort that counts.
So, Viva, Kathy.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they're not more recognised in the UK? Like they've been trying for a few years, and I feel like they still haven't made their mark as I would expect.
It's got to be down to marketing, I think. I mean, I'm trying to do my bit. I've got a whole section of a website on river cruising, and I feature Viva in various posts and such like. So I think for me, they're a fantastic product because they're contemporary, which is my favourite in ways of decor and sort of the offering on board, etc. But I think it must come down to failure to market in the right way on the right places.
Yeah.
As someone who's not sailed with them before, I know very little about them. Apart from what you've posted, I haven't really seen any marketing from them. I'd love to sail with Viva and what you've said and what you've posted.
We've done them quite a few times now, but something we observe each time is maybe the onboard experience is too German.
Yeah.
Very much.
So when you sit down, the menu is already German. They don't supply German and English. You have to specifically ask.
And they bring you English,
which is fine.
There's that, but the dishes as well, like they're very German.
Yeah,
like that you didn't really see like British favourites on there, and I think maybe there should be a bit more of a balance.
I quite enjoy having sort of more local foods or different foods. I'm not a fussy eater, but. So I don't mind experiencing more German cuisine or
everyone needs the GCSE German ready. It sounds like for
that's
that.
Right? Yeah, I only know a German football song from my GCSE.
That's more than I know.
A football song.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I can say in German from my GCSE?
Do you want to whisper? No.
I can say I have. No, I would like a potato salad and I have a big snake. That's it.
I have a big snake.
Yeah. Ich habe eine große Schlange. I learned that.
I needed to know that.
Yeah, probably.
If you say lecker, that's delicious.
Oh, so you could say a liquor.
Lecker, thick snake. I don't know.
You're going to like some German viewers who are going to be horrified. Horrified. Yeah, ich habe eine große Schlange. I'm not saying it's great German, but
that sounds filth.
Well, it's coming from me. So
Schlange.
I think it is. I'm sure your German audience might.
Someone will comment and correct you.
They will. But the topic of pets, obviously.
But what you'll also find, of course, is that most of your fellow guests will have some English.
Yes,
puts us to shame often. Yes. So,
were there any standout wow moments on your river cruises that you just wouldn't get on an ocean cruise?
So this might sound a bit dull. I've already done the bit about crying going into Bratislava. The destinations are incredible, but there's one day, I remember it was such a cold, crisp day, blue skies on the Rhine, mountains everywhere. And I'm wrapped up on the top deck. I say top deck like there's a lot. There's like 3 or 4 decks. That's it. And I'm wrapped up, really warm. And someone brings me a Bloody Mary, like ice cold Bloody Mary, and it's never been so spicy ever in my life. And I'm just sat there like this, and I just remember feeling so fortunate. It was the most serene, beautiful moment, coupled with a really good Bloody Mary. So that sounds a bit weird, but sometimes there's those quiet moments that you remember.
For me, it was the wonderful cities we saw on these excursions in Andalusia. They were fantastic. Granada was a particular highlight for me. But going back to when Jamie was saying before about sometimes you have more than one port.
Yeah.
We had one day where we just berthed at a pier in the middle of nowhere, and in the distance is white hacienda, and we marched through fields to a glass of wine to watch a flamenco show and a horse equestrian show, then back to the ship. An hour or two later, we then berthed in another little town and had a visit to a bodega producing sherry, and we were left with 3 bottles of sherry on a tape between 5 of us. That was very memorable.
Well, this sounds like a very
just
good
about
day.
remember that.
Which river cruise line would you like to try in the future, and why?
Well, obviously the big hitters such as Scenic, Amma, Waterways, obviously for the luxury of that. I'd also be interested in trying Riviera, because I've heard lots and lots of positive feedback from their guests that I met on the river cruise that we went on, and just in my comments on.
I just really wish with Riviera that drinks were included.
Yeah,
I feel that for what they're charging,
price point,
and I also feel that on river cruises you usually more times than not get drinks included, and I just feel like that puts me off a little bit, because I'd feel like we've spent a fortune on a river cruise, and then when we're on there we're having to pay for extras, whereas I mean when we went on Amadeus our bill was practically zero.
And I think the celebrity one, when that's out, I'd definitely want to try.
Definitely.
I'd quite like to try Viking. The main reason being, every time I've been moored up, I felt like I've walked across 5 boats to get to shore.
Yeah.
And they're all Viking boats. So I was like, can I have a little peep around? They look very nice. Viva, but only because of your recommendations and what I've seen you post online. And I'm going to be trying out the new TUI Aria in May, which I'm quite looking forward to, because it looks like it'll be very different to the rest of their fleet.
Do either of you fancy the idea of a Nile cruise? Like a very different experience to what you get in Europe, but does that ever interest you?
It hasn't necessarily appealed to me, apart from the accessing some of the most magnificent sites in the world, of course. I don't know why. I think just from early reports of Nile cruises back in the day where there was lots of tummy issues and things like that, and I think it's it sort of coloured my opinion of it.
That makes me wary.
That's what puts me off.
I really want to do it.
I'm very wary
because when I did the pyramids last year, I wasn't there nearly as long as I would have liked.
Yeah,
I would like to experience it with you. I'd like to experience that.
Yeah, I do want to do it, but
as long as you can see it from the window, because he's not getting off.
Yeah,
thanks very much.
I agree with the tummy issues. That's something that really concerns me.
And I think so many of the main brands now cover the Nile. I think that's sort of really is historic, but it's just stuck with me a little bit. And I wouldn't not go, but it wouldn't be my first choice, I don't think.
River cruising isn't accessible for everyone, is it? And I think it's something that people need to be wary of. If you are in a wheelchair or you do need help, you really will struggle, won't you?
Yes, definitely. On CroisiEurope, there's a lift usually on most of them. You can get up to the top deck, but it's not the easiest thing. A river ship or boat isn't the easiest to manoeuvre if you have disability.
When I sailed the Danube, it was in the summer and a time of drought through a lot of Europe, and the river levels were incredibly low to the extent that we couldn't begin our itinerary where we were supposed to. Yeah. Luckily, it rained quite heavily at some point, and we were able to sail back at the end. But the ramp was so steep. Yeah. There were some people with mobility restrictions. Yeah. And it was very, very challenging for those people.
Yeah, I just think that, sometimes when you're moored up next to 2, 3, 4,
yeah, as well,
you are not going to get from one side to the other. Yeah, you're going to be on there for all day, basically.
Because what I was going to say is I don't think it's fair to say that the ships themselves aren't accessible, because I actually think that most of the ones that we've done, like, there is a sufficient amount of...
Yeah, it's when you're in that predicament.
Yeah, but... What we've said also is the amount of walking that you do on a river cruise. I mean, we do so much walking whenever we do a river cruise, and I do wonder whether he's the right.
I think the excursions are usually marked up on level of mobility, etc. But, for example, this Alhambra Palace in Granada, which was fantastic, but there was a huge amount of walking, lots of steps and ramps, and people had to be left at the bottom because there was just no way of getting them through. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. To end with, we'll just do some quick fire questions. Buffet or fine dining?
Fine dining.
Buffet breakfast, fine dining dinner.
Best port you visited on a river cruise?
Seville.
Budapest.
One port you'd happily skip next time?
Mates.
I'm not a skipper. They all have something.
Best value freebie you've had on a river cruise?
The Granada trip. I know I keep harping on about that, but it was massive for me because it's somewhere I really wanted to go.
Drinks included with your meals, but make sure you stack up right at the end of your meal and take it with you on your travels.
River cruising, future of travel or niche forever?
I think it has a future, but it's never going to be as popular as ocean cruising, I don't think.
One of many futures of cruising.
One word for you, Jamie, to describe TUI River Cruises?
Value. Ish.
One word for you, Kathy, to describe VIVA Cruises?
Contemporary.
One word to describe CroisiEurope, Kathy?
French.
The next cruise for you both?
I haven't got one booked at the moment. I'm hoping to do, for next year, to do another river cruise on a different brand. I'd like to try another Antarctica expedition cruise.
My next one is in 4 days. It's a fly cruise. Fred Olsen, Balmoral, Adriatic. #bloody gifted.
Wonderful.
Lovely. Very nice.
Right, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise Podcast.